我们到8:02的时候，还有1分钟，我们准备开始。Okay, so we will start. So for the first section, I will use 学长们可以开一下摄像头吗？可以听见我们说话吗？
可以。
Okay, so for the first section, we will use the English, and for the second section, that will be the breakout room. We will change to the Chinese. So I will give a brief introduction to everyone. So hi everyone, welcome to participate today's OSU ICM International Networking Fair. I'm the president of the student organization International Career Management. We focus on helping university students to achieve campus career and academic success. So every year, we officially cooperate with OSU Buckeye Career Office. We hold the International Career and Networking Fair for 3 years. And for this year, we also invited many guests to participate in our career fair and networking fair. But this year, the situation is a little bit different because of the COVID-19. Our career and networking fair will be held online. We created separate section for each company representative, and today is a Citi networking fair session. And today, our Vice President Lin Yan and our ICMer Jing Shuo will be the hosts in this session. And today's session will include 2 sections. As for the first section, Chen will give us a 20 to 30 minute speech. It will about Chen's education background, the jobs he had while in school, and how he found the Citi job. And when we find the job, how to do the networking and how to do the interviews, some tips and suggestions. And finally, Chen will tell us like when you get the Citi's job, what should you do? And also we will have a 10-minute Q&A. So for this part, we will answer all the questions in the chat box. So this is all the content for the first section. When you listen to the speech, if you have any question, you can type in the chat box at any time. So when the first section is done, we will have a second section, which is one-on-one chat with Chen. So we will set up the breakout room for student and Chen. For this section, students should register ahead of time by filling out registration form. So we do not accept on-site registration, so really sorry about that. We have sent serial number and confirmation letter to all the students who sign up on one-on-one chat, and we will remind each student 10 minutes in advance. If you miss it, it will be a pity. So today we are very honored to have invited a very important guest. Welcome, Chen. And would you mind to give a brief introduction of yourself and you can have your speech? Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, it is a thanks to be an honor to be here. Like Jun Yao mentioned, that I will go over my my educational background, apply for jobs, and also like some thing that you're gonna be careful after you even get a job, and like the thing or the some mental stage thing that you need to really be aware of after you get the job. So yeah, in the interest of time, let's start. So my educational background, I graduated from OSU back in 2015. I get my bachelor degrees in finance. I wasn't that great of students. I think my GPA was like 3.2, something like that. So it wasn't all glamorous. But while I was in school, I had a bunch jobs, I guess like part-time job from the OSU. So my freshman year, I was a math tutor at the math center. And then the second year, I was at the resident hall office assistant. The third year, I was I guess like a partially cook staff slash like a staff at the cafeteria. So back in the day, it's called North Common. I think nowadays it's called Scott. And then the fourth year, I didn't have even to get a job or a part-time job. So I actually participated in a program. It's called something from the Fisher College of Business. Is something it's about like a mentoring. So it's about mentoring um, freshmen freshman students that help them get to know better about the state of Ohio and help them better transfer into the society, I guess. So it wasn't that glamorous on my educational background, but at the same time, I mean, it is a going through college. It's not all about your GPA or your resume or your internship or anything like that. It's more about how to you sell yourself. Okay. So then next section I'll talk about like how I found the Citi job. Throughout the college, it's about like about 3 months before even I graduated. It's about like February ish. Back in 2015, I started looking for jobs. I really want to have a job right before I graduate. So every day I am about to send out 3 job applications. That was my goal. So at the all the way to the end, I'm about to send out about 300 job application to various um, banks, technology firms, anywhere across the U.S. My basically my number one tips for um, anyone is that quantity is the king. Like you send out resumes. If you think about 20 resumes enough, no, it's not. 30, maybe. I I talked to multiple person that who is international students who got the job at around in the U.S. I mean, pretty much like the least person I talked to, they send out about 100 job applications. Yes, so it's all about quantity. Um, how do I found those jobs? I mean, 300. It's not a small number. Basically, what I did was back in the day was going through websites, networking events, and your peers. I mean, the first thing is that back in the day, only thing I used was like Indeeds and mostly Indeeds, but I'm going to jump into their like a lot of their home website on their company and actually apply. And then the networking process, it's more about you talk to the recruiters, like the event like this. Also, that when you are applying for jobs, sometimes the HR person gonna reach out to you and say, "Hey, we might have this, interview comes up, and, and if you like stuff like that." So basically, your goal is try to have a contact with the HR and reach out to them, and build up networking through them. And they, to be all honest, they will have all the information you need a lot of time. At the same time, your peers. I mean, OSU is big school, and you will have a lot of students got their jobs, and you can talk to your peers and asking, hey, I know you just got a job. I wonder, do you know anyone? Do you know any positions open at your company? So I mean, that way you can either build closer relationship with your peers at the same time that will grant you a job. Okay. The next thing that a lot of people get underlooked is your professors. They are really good resource for what kind of job position you're looking, kind of companies actually out there that will actually looking. Um, Next, I'll talk about interviews. Um, Interviews, I would say if you send out 300 up job applications, you will probably get 50 or 60 interview requests. Um, or just phone calls through like a phone calls, and your goal is try to go all of them. Obviously, the more you get, the more practice you're gonna get, and the more practice you're gonna get, then throughout the day, throughout these time periods, you gonna be a lot better. I remember back in the day, I got 60, about like 50 some job interviews, either like phone calls or actually go out, like drive out to different cities or fly out. And then you also do, but I guess nowadays it's gonna be all Zoom, so don't worry about the driving around. But out of those 50, you might get land like 5. Okay, so obviously out of those 5 interviews or job position you land, you're gonna evaluate which one am I going to pursue. Then next thing you're gonna do is like ask yourself, okay, is this company is what I want? And secondly is, do I like the city, the location, I mean? And lastly is this salary gonna, you know, is this salary gonna meet my living requirements so that I don't need to ask my mom for money? So that being said, then obviously there's a lot of, back in the day, I land about three or 4 job offers, and one's in Boston, one's in Cincinnati, and one's in Columbus. I forgot the last one, but to the end, I choose Columbus. I like Columbus, and I've been living here for 4 years throughout college, and I like the city a lot. The Boston one I turned down because the offer, the salary they offer is very low. I asked the HR person, is this salary going to meet the minimum required living in Boston? And they say no. Then what is the point even to go there? And then C, the one in Cincinnati, it's not really the job field that I want to go into. And I don't think the company even survived nowadays. It's no longer, I think they filed bankruptcy like a few years ago. But, beside the point, that's the thing that you're going to look for, when you find a job. Don't accept it right away. You're going to evaluate it, talk to someone, and, go from there. Okay. After you got your first job, okay, thing that you really need to be careful is that this is your, the real learning just began. Like, it's not like after college, you thought all the learning is done. It's not. Like, at your first job, you're gonna learn a lot. So basically, I mean, the best way to learn is from your like seniors and your peers. So basically, when you got your job, your first goal is that to learn everything and meet everyone that you're gonna get contact with. Then what I meant is that everyone around you, be friend with them and learn. Be friend. Basically, like throughout the organization, they're really gonna help you a lot. Okay, even the janitors, they are the one that gonna help you. Okay. Throughout the networking, that it's not those people. Well, let me back it up. So basically, throughout your first job, a lot of time you don't know your answers when comes some problem comes up sooner or later. The more people you know, the sooner you get to your answer. Okay, it's not about you finding the answer or fixing the problem. It's more that it's gonna help. Well, you're gonna thrive a lot faster when you know where to go for answers. Okay, it's hard to fight the battle by yourself, but it's a lot easier when you have a team of friends that are gonna help you out. Okay. The next advice is like be passionate about your job. If you don't like the job, like 3 weeks or 3 months down the road, I mean, just find a different job. You already have a 300 resume or job application lined it up back in the day. So 3 months ago. So you still have those skills really in fresh. So if you don't like your first job, find a second one quick, because the sooner you realize you don't like the job, it's easier for you to get out. Okay. So at the same time, if you like the company or your team, then you should really, be passionate. The next thing, my advice is that your manager really wants you to become successful. When you get hired into a company, there's no way that your manager want to just be there and punish you. That doesn't, it doesn't make sense. When they hire you, they want you to be successful at your job. It costs the company a lot more money to not hire you and hire you, and you don't know anything. Okay, so the last advice I would give is that, it is great that you bust your butt to learn everything, to work hard, but at the same time, take a breaks. Don't burn out. You really know want to pace yourself, and you don't want, yeah, basically you don't want to get burned out. Okay, that was all, and I'll give it back to Jun Yao.
That's excellent. Thanks for giving us very excellent presentation. I really appreciate. Like, give us a really good suggestion. Like, we should apply like for over like 20 is not enough. Like 30, like 300. So I think if you keep insisting on finding what you want and practice more, like you are more possible to be successful. Also, like the Chen said, we should talk to the recruiter, contact HR. Also, we should find our peers and also try to contact with our professor. Actually, recruiter, HR, peers, professor, they are all the good resource for us. So students, we can do right now, like they are all the students near you, and professor like give courses, like we can contact them immediately. And also like Chen said, we should learn everything and contact with everyone when you get the first job, and when you work with them, like you should learn from them. And also I really love this sentence, like the more people you know, the sooner you will get the answer. I think it is really true. I really love that. So right now, let's look at the chat box. So if you guys have any question, feel free to type in the chat box. And right now, I will read out this question. Was a work or authorization visa sponsorship a problem back then when you apply for jobs?
So this will always come to become a problem. Yes, to be off upfront, like it will turn down a lot of job opportunity that you cannot get. That's why I mentioned you need a lot more. It's like 20s and 30s. No, you need more. So basically, that there, like for finance or business related, mostly are the big four auditor companies and some niche logistic companies that I heard people got accepted. But at the same time, you will heard that some random big company got people in. Okay, it's not about um, it's not about it's not really about a authorization or visa sponsorship going to turn you down. It's all about, a lot of time when the big company are hiring, it's you because you are the lucky one. So I know there are at least 3 or 4 my close friend that got hired and by the company in the US, and they don't have a sponsor. Well, I mean, they got hired and then they got spun into the lotto system. Okay, so it's not about that, the visa sponsor. Okay, I know people got hired and I know the story and I know the person. So it's not just because, yeah, sponsor. But at the same time, my advice is that if you just have your undergrad degree, that's probably not enough. A lot of time I know that undergrad student will get turned down, because a lot of company are tend to hire master's students, even if they don't have visa sponsor. Like I'm just getting lucky, and I know another person who graduated back in December 2019. She got a job at a company in Columbus. Yeah, undergrad. At the same time, she sent out like 200 some resumes. Yes.
That's a lot. So if we have the OPT or CPT, will the company accept us?
Um, I know that when you well, a lot of well, I'm not. It's really hard for me to say my company wise, but I know a person who got hired. Like all my friends, they got hired are on their I think on their OPT for 3 years. All of them are STEM students. I mean, there's no, to be honest, as a business perspective, if you only have a 1 year, right? What's the point? They're gonna train you for like three months. You're gonna be useful for like maybe 6 months or 8 months, and then you're gonna move back to whatever country you're coming from. So there's no real logic for the person or the manager to hire you, right? But if you have a 3 year sponsorship or visa, then they're gonna train you for 3 months, and you're gonna be useful for 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, yeah, that really makes sense. And actually, yesterday, like City Catsburg also come here, gave us a presentation and also mentioned that yes, like the sponsor, the city will not give the sponsor, but like if we have the OPT or CPT, like it will work. So student like for the other company like they transact from the business perspective it is hard to say, and also it is not make sense like why you only have 1 year but we train you. But like for there still have many opportunities if we have the OPT or CPT, the business will accept, but we should ask first like whether you accept our OPT or CPT or you require us like US citizen. So that's a very good point, very good question, and thanks for very excellent answer. And actually I have a question like right now during the COVID-19 period, finding a job becomes a really difficult than before. So there are still many students want to and try to find an intern or job. Like do you have any suggestion for a student who really want to apply an intern or full time in this special period?
Um, the first thing I want to say is that internship they are great, but a lot of time they are like icing on the cake. They are great, but not necessary. Like I mentioned, I didn't have any internship, and I still got the job. And it's all about the interview that gonna land you the real job. But at the same time, for internship wise, where should you go get them? Job fairs. This is gonna be. It's gonna be like, yeah, it really sucks for this year. Soon graduate or the person who's juniors in college. It's not great. But to be all honest, um, reach out to people through LinkedIn. That's the best way for now. I mean, it is what it is. Through LinkedIn, I would say that's my suggestion.
Yeah, that's really good suggestion. Like also many recruiter HR also mentioned that during this special time, we should use a LinkedIn, we should use email, like phone call, any like you can try to contact and being active to contact anyone like you want to talk with. So that's really good suggestion for us. So if there any person have any question, like you can type them in the chat box. If you don't have any question, we can move to the second section, like for the one-on-one chat. And for the one-on-one chat, you can use the exchange to Chinese to talk with our guest Cheng. So it depends on you. Oh, here has a question like, do you only apply for positions where your background meets job requirements completely?
No. So well, obviously when you go through, I'll pull it back a little. Because I was a business student, I didn't own just took class in finance. Okay. Yes, I really want to get into finance related, but business wise, I learned about logistic, op, and lot like human resource such as that. And at the same time, I have experience in mentoring, customer services. Those are really going to help you to get the job. So maybe about same time back in 2015, there's a lot more finance job I can do compared to nowadays. So, and the job I'm applied currently in, it's a mutual fund accountant. So it's not really finance in particular. It's more like a hybrid between finance and accountant. So at the same, like, there's a lot of time you have to make some sacrifice to your job, you know, what you want and what you're gonna get. So there's some letdown there. Yeah, hopefully
Yeah,
I answer your question.
yeah. Thanks for Chen's excellent suggestion and answer. So, if there are any other questions, you can put that in the chat box. And since we have the limited time, so we only choose limited student to have one-on-one chat. So if you don't have this opportunity to have one-on-one chat with Chen, you can put your answer in the chat box. Here has a question. What is the key to the success of interview? How to impress interviewer?
Um, that's a really good question. So it really differs. It varies by your job, the person who's doing the interview. So for example, what I got, so I'm gonna share my experience and my some experience from my friends and peers. So I got into this job because, well, impressed my manager at the time was that I I I got the first place in the stock market competition. Okay, for at OSU 5 years ago, and that was a really good selling point. And is that related to school? Probably. Is that related to job there, like what the job is doing? Maybe, because I mean it is a stock related, so that helped like explain well help me or boost my confidence a little, so that I know, and telling the manager that I know how a mutual fund work. Does that make sense? And then at the same time, the worst story I heard was that one of my peer got the job from a different company only because he is a football fan of Alabama. And is there anything that impressed the interviewer? It, I mean, yes, but it all depends. Um, to be all honest, a lot of time that you really know what you learn and what you really need to know what is the job requirement is. And yeah, you really need to do research on the job position and the company itself. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly like doing some research before you got the interview. That is really useful and important thing to do. You need to do like to do some research about their position you are interested in, like job descriptions, and also about some resource about some the company you want to apply. So that is really important for us. Thanks for giving us very excellent explanation. So, is there any other question?
Yeah.
Um,
Let me also add to that question. after you do about like 10, 20 interviews, you know what's your selling point.
Yeah, that's good.
Really like through the practice, you know, you actually know better about yourself after 5 or 6 interviews, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, like practicing more is a good key to success. Yeah, I really agree with that. So we can try to practice more, and if you have any friends near you or some professor, you can also let them to give you a mock interview. Yeah, that is a really good way to help us and to do some exercise. So if we don't have any other question, we can move to the next section. So for the next section, we will have a one-on-one and see that again, like if you are willing to use the Chinese, you can exchange to Chinese. And if you still want to English, so you can still use. So right now, thanks for coming and thanks for all the students come here to listen to the speech. And also, I really appreciate like during this special time, Chen will also willing to come here and to give us this presentation. It's really excellent and really nice for us. All the very great suggestions, like we can make notes and we can use them in the future. I believe if you use all the tips Chen mentioned, you are more possible to be success. Thank you so much. And so for next time, Jing Shuo will set up the breakout room for the first student. So are the first student ready? Jing Shuo, would you mind to remind him and to check?
Just a quick thing. If I don't have a chance to answer your questions, my name, well, obviously my name is on the Zoom meeting. You can, add me on LinkedIn and I try to answer your questions if you don't get to answer today. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yes, you can, like all the students can search Cheng's name on LinkedIn. And if you have any other question, you can also contact ICM, like contact me or ICMer, and we can help you to ask question and help you to contact with Cheng. So Jing Shuo, the first student is the first student ready for the one-on-one chat?
Yeah, everything's ready.
That's cool. So thanks for all the students participants. So we will begin our second section.
Okay.
那就是学长已经开始跟第一个同学有一个1v1的这样一个 catch up 和1v1的 chat 了。那剩下的同学，如果就是你们报名了1v1，并且已经 confirm 的话，那么就是在你之前的，我们会提前10分钟通知你，然后你可以在这个 waiting room 可以在这个大的这个主场等待。也可以就通过在我们提醒你的时候进 Zoom 都是可以的。那谢谢大家今天的参与。如果大家还想就是报名接下来几场的1v1的话，可以随时就是联络我们的 ICM 小助手，然后他会把报名链接发给大家。1v1是10分钟，有时间限制的，每个人10分钟。然后时间限制，我们就是你进去之后，它会有时间就是 show 在你的屏幕。如果说比如说还剩最后1分钟 left，那它会有显示的，就是你也可以根据这个提示来决定你们对话的这个速度。大家可以 prepare 几个问题。那谢谢大家今天的参与，有任何问题可以随时联系我或者联系 ICM 小助手。然后大家如果还没有进群的同学们，就可以联系一下小助手拉你进群，可以了解更多的活动的内容，也可以就是第一时间参与1v1的报名。谢谢各位今天的参与呢，后面几位参与1v1的同学，可以在这个主场等待。好了，那我先下线一会儿了，拜拜。